chapter is menstruation, hayd, page 69, volume number 1. From now on, brothers, the class is going to be after Maghrib. Next week will be after Maghrib, because the Maghrib is going to be 8:05, it will be 8 o'clock. So it's after Maghrib. As soon as we finish the Maghrib, we will do the class. Is that okay? No, sure. So for the sisters, please, after Maghrib is the class. Yes.
Menstruation. In Arabic, the word menstruation literally means running. Here it refers to the discharge of blood during a woman's state of health, not from giving birth or breaking the hymen.
Right. So, in Arabic, linguistically speaking, hayd means running, sayalan. As in, in religious terminologies, hayd is the one that comes or being discharged from the woman during a specific period every month. Yes, sister? No, well, I don't have any more copies. I'm sorry. Okay, you have to share them. Not because of she's ill, not due to her breaking her hymen, okay? Not because of, as well, birth. So it is discharged blood during specific time from every lunar month. Do you understand that? So during the month, the woman, she gets a period where she menstruates. That is, discharges blood. That blood is not because she's ill. But bear in mind, sometimes the woman, she gets ill or she gets weak during that period. But it's not because of that. I'm saying she's discharging the blood because Allah, He made her like this. So, not because she is ill, she discharges the blood. Even though that she might get ill while she's discharging the blood. And not because of breaking her hymen if she is a virgin. And not because she is having a birth, a labor. No. It is something to do with a regular thing that takes place specific time. And as well, when she reaches her puberty. And we'll see that in a minute, inshallah. Now.
Most scholars say that its time begins at the age of 9. If blood is seen before that age, it is not menstrual blood, but is considered to be putrid blood.
Okay. When he says most of the scholars, does that play a big role in finding the truth? Does it play a big role? Does it mean if it's most of the scholars means it's haqq? No. We're not playing a football match here. 5-3, 2-3. No, we're not. Or tennis match. So it is actually the haqq is the haqq where the text is Quran or Sunnah. Regardless of which, how many scholars are following such opinion. I'll give you an example. If you look, for example, on divorce. If the person divorces his wife 3 times in one go, that is divorce, divorce, divorce. According to most of the scholars, more even than the scholars who would say that the menses would start when the girl she's 9 years old. More than that. Most of the scholars, including all the 4 major madhabs, that is, Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, and Shafi'i, and Imam Ahmad. All of them, they say, if the person, that is the husband, utters the divorce 3 times in one go, the wife, she is completely divorced, and she cannot return back to her husband unless she performs a correct marriage with a correct time and intercourse, that is sexual intercourse takes place, and then a normal divorce takes place, and then she could go back to her first husband. Is that understood? But is the haqq with them? No. Because the Prophet ﷺ, it happened at his time that the divorce took place 3 times in one go, and he made it to be equivalent to what? To 1 divorce. You might as well ask, So why is it then that we have the 4 scholars and more scholars with them supporting them to say, except for Ibn Taymiyyah and whom they follow him, that is, they say, if he does it 3 times in one go, she's divorced 3 times. Why do they say that? You might as well ask this question. We would say to you, first of all, remember, all these scholars, they judge and rule according to what text they receive. And the amount of text that you receive at the moment is much and much more than the amount of text that those scholars have received. And if you go back in time to Abu Hanifa, he received less knowledge and less proof from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ than Imam Malik, who came after him, than Imam Shafi'i, who came after the 2 of them, and then the last one, Imam Ahmad, who compiled more proof, more hadith than the 3 previous ones. So here, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, at his time, he made the 3 divorces because at his time people used to play around with divorce. And he said, divorce, divorce, divorce. And because he was a Khalifa, he said, okay, we'll make it the 3 to be 3 as a punishment. So Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu made it, and after that companions, and then the Umayyah, the Rashidiyah, Abbasiyah, sorry. Those eras of Umayyah and Abbasiyah, they made the same thing until Ibn Taymiyyah came in the 7th century, where he set the whole thing back as it was during the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He made the 3 to be 3 to be 1. So the same thing here. When they said, most of the scholars, they say that if the girl, she reaches her 9 and she sees blood, then this is menses. But if she's less than 9 years old and she sees blood, then that blood is nothing. We say no. There is no text in the book or the Sunnah to back what they're saying, to say that the starting of the puberty is 9 years old. By the way, 9 years here, we're talking about which years? The solar system years or the lunar system years? The lunar system years, which is about 354 days, which is about 12 to 10 days less than the solar system year. Okay? So she is about 9, that means she's about 8 and what? Come on, 9 multiplied by 12, that's about 100 days, which is about 3 months. So it's about 8 years and 9 months. Before that, they said it is normal blood. We say no. Once she sees that blood, and the blood is known to be the blood of the menstruation, which we'll describe in a minute, inshallah. That is the black, thick, smelly, so on and so forth. Then this is menses. Even she was menstruating when she is 8 years old. I remember, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago or less than that, when I read in the newspaper that a girl, she gave birth. She was 8 and a half. That means she was pregnant before she was 8. That means she could produce menses, because the menstruation is due to the what? Producing the egg. That means she was doing it before she's 8. I'm saying this is rare cases. And even I remember that happened in Spain. And I remember that she gave birth of twins, or maybe one, I can't remember. But anyway, whatever the outcome was, a monkey or a human being, that he was in the custody of the king, Carlos of Spain, king, whatever his name is, I can't remember. He took custody of him because, he is championing this. How come, 8 years old girl, she's giving birth to a child of some. This is fornication, by the way. This is fornication. It wasn't due to marriage. It's just a boy, 12 years old, was playing around, and that's it. It happens. And they say this is innocence, the innocence of the child. Maybe the innocence of the child, but the criminal fathers and mother, they should be demonized. Now,
as there is no evidence about when a woman stops menstruating, if an elderly lady finds blood flowing, it is considered menstrual blood. For the blood to be considered, it must be one of the following colors.
So here, he says, the end of this menstruation. I mean, the end, for how long the woman she could stay menstruating. Up to what age? He says there is no limit. Well, like we said, there is no limit at the beginning. There will be at the end. There's no limit as well for the beginning. There's no specific time when it starts. So there is no specific time when it starts, and there is no specific time when it ends. But usually it is up to 45 years old. She's, usually. But sometimes you find a woman, she's 55, still menstruating. But whichever we say as the rare cases. Now,
For the blood to be so considered, it must be one of the following colors: dark.
dark, that means almost to a black color. Okay, dark, which means almost a black color. Now,
Once, when Fatima bint Abu Habash
Hubaysh,
had a prolonged flow of blood, the Prophet ﷺ told her, if it is the blood of menstruation, it will be dark and recognizable. If it is that, then leave the prayer. If it is other than that, then make ablution and pray, for it is only due to a vein. This is related by Abu Dawood, An-Nasai, Ibn Hibban, and Ad-Daraqutni, who said all of its narrations are trustworthy. Al-Hakim also related it and said that it meets Muslim standards.
which is an authentic hadith, and this is hadith, you find it in Musnad or Sunan Abi Dawood, 286 Abu Dawood. Okay, this is for the first color. We know that when she discharges blood, it goes dark. Now,
red, it is the original color of blood. Yellow, it is a
so when it comes, first of all, very dark, it starts to also lose the color of it. Okay, and then it goes to red, and then
yellow. It is a liquid like pus.
It's like pus, and then the last,
a muddy color.
muddy. So it's like from black turning to which color? Not red.
White.
So it's going from all the way from black to white, but through the process of going red, yellow, muddy, and then there's going to be a white secretion. Now, okay, we'll talk about the muddy.
Okay. A muddy color, it is an intermediate color between black and white, like dirt.
It's like dirt, not like dirt, like the dirty, the dirt or the water which has been dirty, the dirty water. Now,
Malik and Muhammad al-Hassan and al-Bukhari in Mu'allaq form recorded that women would send Aisha radiallahu anha small boxes with yellow stained cotton, and she would tell them, do not be in haste until you see the pure white cotton. If the discharge is yellow or until you see the pure white cotton, if the discharge is yellow or muddy during the days of menstruation, it is to be considered as part of the menses. During other days, it is not regarded as such.
And this is related by Malik.
Okay,
Malik's number is 1/59. 1/59. So the women, they used to send the box where the woman, she puts her things in it. And they showed her the cotton, and when the woman, she gets pure. So she said, Aisha, to them, don't hasten the matter. Don't go fast in making the worship. You have to wait until you get rid of the yellow still, until you see al-qassa al-bayda, which is, we call it, the white secretion. So fluid is white, comes at the end, finishes it up. Some women, they don't really experience that white secretion. Some women, they just find that the blood stops as it gets the normal colors, black, red, yellow, muddy, and then the blood ceases to discharge. But some women, they have the white secretion. And as I said, we are in this field, we have no sort of practical experience. It's all of it to do with the women. We're reading this stuff, but I think the women affirm what we are saying. Right, after that?
Atiyah said, after we were pure, we did not consider the yellow or muddy discharge to be anything.
That is, you see, this is in Abu Dawood and Al-Bukhari.
Okay.
But did he put Abu Dawood before Bukhari? Yes, so we have to really be the other way around. Always start with Bukhari and then Abu Dawood. Even in the Arabic texts they did that, which is really wrong. Always you have Bukhari, then Muslim if there's Muslim, and then you start with the Dawood, Nasai, Tirmidhi. Okay, so Bukhari number is 326. 326. Right, here Atiyah, she says again,
after we were pure, we did not consider the yellow or muddy discharge to be anything.
That means anything of what? Nothing to do with the menses. Excellent. Nothing to do with the menses. Don't consider anything. That means it is not menstruation. So after we see the white secretion, some women, they experience that the yellow and the muddy to be what? Again, when the woman, she has the white secretion, then the yellow and the muddy that comes after it, is it from the menses or is it not? It is not. Okay, this hadith means what? The yellow and the muddy before the white secretion is to do with what? Menstruation. It's very important to know that. Shaykh Al-Albani at the beginning, he just said that the menstruation is only the black and the red color. Nothing to do with the muddy, nothing to do with the yellow. Then, based upon this hadith, back with the hadith which is before it, Aisha, Shaykh Al-Albani changed his mind. He said, no, this hadith means, because of Atiyah, she said, that we consider the yellow and the muddy after the white secretion to be nothing. That means before the white secretion means what? Something. Which is, that means what? Something. After it, nothing. Before it, something. That means from the menstruation. Okay? Okay, so this is from the menstruation. But, what's so special and what sort of word, I would say, rules would apply if she sees the white, or the yellow and the muddy after the white secretion? What happens? I think I've discussed this with you before in other chapters. Excellent. No, she makes wudu. Because you see, the white secretion is the end of the menstruation. Now, whatever comes from the private parts, vagina, is to be impure. When impurity is discharged from the body, as a principle, what does it do? Invalidate the wudu. Remember the principle which we taught? Any impure discharge. If the body discharges impurity, that means the wudu is what? Has been invalidated. But vice versa is not all the time true. That not everything that would invalidate the wudu had to be filth or najasa, impurity. Not everything that would invalidate the wudu necessarily had to be what? Najis. Give me an example. Blood, does it nullify the wudu? No. We're saying not everything that nullifies the wudu is to be najis. So give me something that would invalidate the wudu, but at the same time is pure. Sperm, that's number one. What else? Huh? Camel's meat. Camel's meat invalidate. What I'm talking about now, something discharged from the body, not something you bring from outside. You can't produce camel meat, can you? Now, that's very good. Anyway. No, madi is najis. Come on. Passing wind. You pass wind. Okay, invalidates the wudu. But the wind itself, is it filth? No, it is not. All right. Nah. Well, the sperm smells as well. No. Right, okay.
There is no stated minimum or maximum length of time for the menses.
No, okay, this is what, the title there?
No, there's
No title.
continuation.
Can we just put titles here from the beginning? Let's just start from the beginning. Okay, let's just from the beginning. Haid, okay, menstruation. Put just before a subtitle after menstruation, haid, put definition. Definition. In the top, yeah, definition. Just to make it easier for you to read. Okay. The second paragraph where it says most scholars. Can you see that one? Say that the time begins, yeah? Okay, so we cite the time. It's the time or time of menstruation. Just to make you understand what you're talking about. Before he goes to the third paragraph, which is for the blood to be considered, put the color or color. Okay? Color. So to make you understand. Okay? Flick the page, please. Before the paragraph which is going to be reading in a minute, inshallah, which it says there is no stated minimum or maximum length, please put period. Period. So we're going to talk about how long does it stay, this menstruation. Go on.
There is no stated minimum or maximum length of time for the menses, and all statements dealing with this topic have no sound backing. If a woman has a customary length of time for a menses, she should, according to it, Salama asked the Prophet ﷺ about a woman with a prolonged flow of blood. He said, she should look for the number of days and nights that she usually has her menses and the time of the month during which it occurs. Then she should leave the prayer during those days and then afterwards, perform ghusl, tie something around her vagina and pray. This is related by the 5 except by Al-Tirmidhi.
Who are the 5? Come on. Who are the 5? Bukhari is when he says Al-Jama'ah, the group. Come on. Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, Nasa'i. No. Ahmed. Did he say 5? Ahmed. So we say the group. Who are the group? How many the group? 6. Bukhari and Muslim, and then Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah. 5. Who are the 5? The 4 except for Bukhari and Muslim plus Ahmed. Okay? So we're going to give the number of Abu Dawood. Abu Dawood is 274. Abu Dawood is 274. So here, I'm just really, subhanAllah, amazed here that the author, Sayyid Sabiq, says that there is no proof, solid proof, to say that there is a sort of a certain time for the length of the period, for the length of the menstruation. And at the same time, he decided, according to most of the scholars, to be that the starting of the menstruation has to be when she is 9 years old. And we don't have a solid proof. He should really do the same thing. There is no solid proof. There's not even a single hadith to say that if she's 9 years old, then whatever she sees from the blood is menstruation. Otherwise, if she's younger than that, then this blood is nothing. Where is the proof for that? The same thing. If you apply it here, apply it here as well. So that's to say that we are human beings, we make mistakes. Right. So here there is no proof to say for how long it stays. 3 days, 4 days, 5. We don't know the minimum and we don't know the maximum. Okay. So here it says the Prophet ﷺ was asked, and according to the Salama, the hadith says that she asked the Prophet ﷺ about a woman, she is discharging a lot of blood. So the Messenger of Allah said, let her look on her customary period. The predominant period, the customary period. The customary period, that means she used to do before. Like for example, she used to menstruate for how long? For 7 days, all the time. Suddenly this month she started bleeding more than 7 days, the 8th day and the 9th day. Then Prophet ﷺ said, look at her period. Then 7 days, she considers 7 days, she leaves the prayer, she doesn't fast during the 7 days. And after that she should wash, and then she should, what? Tight herself. Put something to stop the discharge of the blood, and then what? Go on performing her worship. Period. It's not a period anymore. She has to pray, or if she's got a fast, she has to fast. Is that understood? So she looks back at her customary period. How long she used to menstruate for the previous month. But we get a problem here when we don't have a customary period. That is, it's her first time to menstruate. Say that she's about 10 years old, or 12 years old, or 14 years old. It's her first menstruation. And it's 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, 10 days, 11 days, 12 days, 15 days, still discharging blood. Now, how can we go back to her customary period if she hasn't got? Because it says the first one. What should we do? Excellent. Look at the color of the blood. The color. We said, it starts with what? Black. And it goes what? Lighter, lighter, lighter. And she's that, and she's gone to the lightest of the lighter, that's it. And then she considered the best to be istihaba, which is prolonged period. It's not from the it's not from the hayd. It's something which is extra. It's not from the hayd. What about if the color is not there? The color is not, it's constant color. She's 10 years old or 14 years old, it's her first time to menstruate. And she is discharging blood which has got no distinguishing colors, all of it the same color. How can she do it now? What was she going to do? Look. 40 days. She's not in labor. What can she do? Those things we're going to be discussing, inshallah. The sheet that you've got goes through lots of things there. Okay, what can she do? Tough? Excellent. We call it the predominant customary period. We look, what is the customary period for majority of the women? Which is about 7 days. So she does the 7 days and the rest to be what? Istihada, prolonged. You understand that? So first of all, her customary period. How long if she's her first time, then we look at the color. There's no color, we look at the last thing, which is the predominant customary period of the other woman. Is that understood? Inshallah, I'll make you real judges and muftis and sheikhs and istihala. Inshallah. Okay, go on.
If she has no customary period to go by, then she can try to distinguish between the different types of blood. This practice is based on the previous quoted hadith of Fatima bin Abu Habaysh, which states that the menstrual blood is distinguishable and well known to women.
Distinguishable, and distinguishable is a translation of the word yu'raf. Yu'raf, distinguishable, that she knows it. But this word has two ways of pronouncing it. Yu'raf or yu'rif. Yu'raf is well known to the women. And the period, the menstruation blood is well known to the women. You know it. The color, the smell, and how thick it is. But yu'rif, it makes it smell. The word yu'rif, which is put a kasra on the ra, makes it got smelly. Okay, so the two translation of the word should be there as well. So yu'rif means it's got a smell. Right, so he says here, if she hasn't got a customary period, then she goes to the color of the blood, according to the hadith of Fatima bint Abi Hubaysh. Now, after that,
all scholars agree that there is no minimum...
Okay, before all scholars, this is a new paragraph, isn't it? Okay, this new paragraph, please put there the period between the two purity states, or between the two menstruation. Purity states or the menstruation, you could say. The period between the two menstruation states. That means how long she should stay pure. Do you understand me? Go on.
All scholars agree that there is no minimum or maximum time limit between the two menstrual periods. Some say that the latter period is 15 days, while others say it is 3 days.
No, that's 3 days. 13 days, you should be saying. 13 days. Should be 13 days, not 3 days. So some of them said 15, some of them what? 13. Go on.
Post-childbirth bleeding.
No. But there is the proof? You didn't say that? Okay. Well, after that, the author says, and the truth is that there is no proof to state exactly how long. There is no proof to state exactly how long. So there is no proof to say what is the minimum period between the two menstruation. You can't say it's 13 days. We can't say 15 days. Could be less than that. We don't know. But it's a rare cases. Usually it is that she menstruates from 4, 5, 6, 7 to 8 days. Usually the cases. Assalamu alaikum. Now.
Post-childbirth bleeding.
So we have finished now the menstruation. We go to post-childbirth bleeding. Let's go to the notes, please, and let's read from the notes. Can just somebody share the notes with somebody else and give me that notes for the brother to read? I'm sorry, are you writing something on this? Good habit. Your notes, give me that. Because you're writing it in this way. Okay? He's got one. Take one. Jazakallahu khairan. Yes.
Menstruation.
Okay, it's from the notes.
Menstruation is a dark, thick, smelly discharged blood during woman's state of health when she reaches her puberty, not due to disease, giving birth or breaking the hymen. This blood comes regularly at a certain time every month and keeps flowing for a certain period. There is no specific age at which the menstruation stops. This above definition implicates that menstruation has the following.
So this sort of definition, all of it, compiles the number of facts, which are the following facts. Number one, it is dark. It is a dark color. Also, it can be one of the following colors: red, the original color; yellow, like pus; muddy, intermediate color between black and white. Number two,
it is thick. Number three, it is smelly. And fourthly, it begins when a woman reaches her puberty. There is no specific age for puberty. Normally, it is between 9 and 14 years.
I'm saying normally. It is not all the time. But we can't say if it's before 9, it is not menstruation. Go on.
And the fifth, it is discharged during woman's state of health. It is not discharged due to disease, giving birth, or breaking the hymen.
State of health, that means she could be as well ill and she's discharging her blood. But we're saying it's not because of her illness she's discharging the blood. Now,
the sixth point is, it is discharged regularly every month at a certain time, which differs from one woman to another.
Yes.
Number 7.
That means some of the women at the beginning of the month, some of them it's like the second day of the month, or the fifth day of the month. So it's not that all of them have to menstruate at the same time, the same, hour. So I'm just saying, some people are laughing here. Some people, they don't know these things. They're really strange for them. They want to learn about this. So there's no specific time in which day in the month the menstruation. It differs from one woman to another. No.
Number 7. Normally the blood keeps flowing until the end of the menstruation period.
So I'm saying normally the blood would keep flowing. But sometimes we have cases that the blood is just like dripping. 3 drops, stops. 3 drops, the next day stops. 3 drops. Sometimes it happens like this, which we call it abnormal cases. What do we do? If the woman, she's, for example, experienced one day bleeding, then she looks first thing at what? Her customary period. Her customary period, when does it start? At the middle of the month. This is she dripping. It's at the beginning of the month. Is that period? Is that menstruation? No. Do you understand that? If she has a customary period, if it happens to be at the time of her menstruation, that means she's menstruating at the beginning of the month. She saw that dripping at the beginning of the month. Then that dripping, even if it's not really flowing, it's not discharging a lot, that drops of blood is what? Her menses. Because it happens to be at the same time where she menstruates every month. Is that understood? Now,
the 8th point, the length of menstruation period varies from one woman to another, and there is no authentic proof that states a maximum or a minimum length of time for the menses.
Okay, there is no proof to say how long. Now,
only the woman determines the length of time of her menses. Normally, it is between 6 to 7 days, which is called the predominant customary period of the woman.
So the predominant customary period of the woman is 6 to 7 days. Usually it is the case for most of the women. 6 to 7 days. Now,
there is no specific age at which the woman stops menstruating, but normally it is between 45 to 50 years.
Well, I know that some women, they menstruate more than 50. But usually, it's 45, sometimes 40 they stop giving birth. Because when she stops menstruating, that means there will be no birth. Now, no eggs.
It doesn't take place while the woman is pregnant.
It doesn't take place when the woman is pregnant. In contrary to what some of the Shaykh, like Shaykh al-Mathamin, say that if the woman, she experienced blood exactly at the same... All right. What time is the... Okay. Call the adhan, brother. Finish as much as we can. Number 10, it says it doesn't take place while the woman is pregnant. As I said, some of the scholars, like Shaykh al-Uthaymeen, say that sometimes the women experience period or menstruation during her pregnancy. Scientifically, it doesn't really take place. That is that the woman, she's pregnant, she's producing eggs as well at the same time, and she's producing menstruation. So we say whatever blood comes while she is pregnant is to be not menstruation, is to be from the prolonged period. I mean, she could do her worship, she could fast, she could pray. Shaykh al-Uthaymeen says, if she gets this blood at the same time that she usually gets her menstruation, let's say for example, she menstruates at the beginning of the month, and she's pregnant, and she's getting blood exactly the same days of those months, which is, I've never heard of it, but let's say it's happening. He says, then she is to be on her menses, but there are two things which are not applicable to her if she's pregnant, which are applicable to the normal woman when she's menstruating. Number one, which is the divorce. That is, we know that if the woman on her menses, you cannot divorce her. But if she's pregnant and she is menstruating, as the rare cases mentioned by Shaykh al-Uthaymeen, he says you could divorce her. Do you understand that? So if she's pregnant, you could divorce her. The other thing, which is the iddah. The iddah of the woman, if she is the normal woman, if she's menstruating, her iddah would finish with her finishing her menstruation. And the third menstruation she finishes, then this is the iddah is finished. But when she's pregnant, it is not the third menstruation, it has to be finishing the labor. She has to deliver the baby. These are the only two cases which are different when she is menstruating while she's pregnant. You understand that? You understand that? Just to make you sure that some people here, they read, for example, Sharh al-Mumta' or anything, Fatawa of Shaykh al-Uthaymeen or Fatawa of other people, just to make them know what we are saying and how to really understand why we have taken this position and why we say against some of the scholars, something which is different from what the scholar says. Okay, so please, bearing in mind that some people depend upon one book, and he says, oh, I'm satisfying myself with my book. Believe me, this menstruation, you have to read at least maybe 20 to 30 books, research about this, to come up with some conclusion. It's not you just read one book, khalas, I don't need any classes. It is not really true. It is not really true. Now,
it doesn't normally take place while the woman is breastfeeding. And finally, there is a
so it doesn't normally take place while the woman is breastfeeding. But she might have it. Some women, they as well be pregnant while they're breastfeeding. But it is usually the case that he's breastfeeding, that the doctor would tell him, to the husband, to approach her while she's breastfeeding, and he to be sure that there will be no babies. Because she's breastfeeding and the power has gone to the feeding of the milk, so there will be no eggs being produced. But sometimes the women, they are getting pregnant while, so I'm saying normally, but it does take sometimes place that she's menstruating while she's breastfeeding. Now,
there was a consensus upon them.
So please, between 10 and 11, the difference is, I said in 10, it doesn't take place. Not normally. Number 11, it doesn't normally take place. See the difference? So I'm here, number 10, I'm saying, pregnant women, she cannot menstruate. Now, number 12.
There was consensus upon the impurity of the menstruation blood.
No difference between the scholars regarding this issue. That the menstruation blood is to be impure. The difference of opinion is regarding the normal blood. Most of the scholars, they say the normal blood of the human being is to be najis, impure. But as we said, and we have proved before, that the blood, human blood, is not to be filth and not to be najis, based upon the hadith of the companion who had completed his prayer while he was discharging blood from his wound. If you remember, was hit by the arrow of the enemies. Right. Go to 3 minutes. Again.
Signs by which the woman can determine if she is on her menses.
So now we want to determine how the woman can determine that she's menstruating. Number 1.
The first, the time, the date on which it regularly comes.
And that means if she was menstruating all the time, so she would know that this time or this day, that normally the time of her menstruation. If, go on.
Number 2, the blood's characteristics, i.e. black, thick or smelly.
If she didn't have, for example, a time, it's her first time. Or she started bleeding all the time and she doesn't know when to finish. She looks at the characteristic, the color, black, thick or smelly. Now,
and the third, consideration of the predominant customary period of the woman.
Predominant, remember predominant, how many days? From 6 to 7 days. She takes 6 or 7 days and she considers to be that. That is her menses, and the rest is to be prolonged period istihaba. Now, and the last thing, before we go to question and answer, just before.
Signs by which
I think we'll leave that. We'll just, okay, after the salah, we'll continue signs by which and the abnormal cases during menstruation. Okay, inshallah. Now. الشباب موجودين؟ تخشى انه في بنفسك الظهور يعني.
أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استووا واعتدلوا واستقيموا طرف. استووا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. الله سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب سيصلى نارا ذات لهب وامرأته حمالة الحطب في جيدها حبل من مسد. الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله إياك الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Just to continue the menstruation before, inshallah, we leave the title of post-childbirth bleeding for next week. And we give the time for questions and answers. And I'm sure the sisters will have some questions from them. So we go to the brother, and he will be reading from the title which says, Signs by which the woman can determine the end of her menstruation, yes?
No.
Now.
Number 1, seeing the white cotton, i.e. the blood stops flowing. Number 2.
Okay, you could add up to that one. When you say seeing the white cotton, that means as well, / white secretion. White secretion. The white secretion only discharge when the blood stops flowing. Now.
The change in the characteristics of the blood.
So the change of the characteristics of the blood from dark to red to yellow to muddy. Now.
The time and date on which it regularly finishes.
So that is, when does it finish usually, in her case? Now.
And finally, the consideration of the predominant customary period.
And that is, remember, 67 days. Now, abnormal cases, this is I would say, an interesting topic, which we didn't find in the book. Now.
If yellow and muddy blood comes out during the days of menstruation, then it is considered part of the menses. Otherwise, it is not. But it will invalidate the wudu hadith of Atiyah.
Which you find on which page? Atiyah's hadith, come on. The book. We've read it just now. 70, page 70. Just put page 70 there, P70, in your notes. Now.
Sometimes delays in the discharge of menses blood might take place. Therefore, the woman should disregard any pain that might accompany such delay and should not consider herself on her menses until she sees the actual flow of blood.
Okay, let's say, for example, the woman menstruates at the beginning of the month. Usually she gets a little bit of pain free that sort of discharge. Let's say that she experienced the pain exactly on the day that she discharges her menstruation normally, which is the beginning of the month. But she doesn't see the blood. She's feeling the pain. Is she in her menses? No. She has to see the what? The blood. Now,
the length of time of the menstruation period may vary in some cases. In such case, the woman should watch for the end of the blood discharge.
So the end of the blood discharge, that means white secretion or stopping of the blood. Now,
in the case of blood being discharged as drops and stopping on the following day, the woman should look for the signs by which she determines whether she is on her menses or not.
As I said before, that is dripping the blood. If it's during her menses time, she's menstruating. Otherwise, it's a normal blood and she shouldn't really pay attention to it. Now,
finally, if this is the first time for the girl to have her menstruation, then she should watch for the blood's characteristics. Otherwise, she should consider the predominant customary period of the woman.
So it's a young girl. She's having her menses, her blood discharged for the first time. Now she's having that blood continuously for 7, 8, and it doesn't stop. 10 days, 12 days. Then she should look at the color, the characteristics of the blood. If there is no characteristics, it's the same color of the blood, then she would go to the predominant. Predominant, what is it? 6 to 7 days. And then consider the rest to be prolonged period, which we call istihada, which we will talk about it as well, inshallah, in due course. So here we come to the conclusion of our topic and to the end of it. And we leave the rest of the time for 10 minutes for questions and answers. Questions from the sisters, please, to be written. Now, you have questions from the brothers. I know that it is not your job to menstruate, but you do want to ask about it, to give questions and answers to your wives, your sisters, and so forth. Now,
regarding the statement of Sheikh Faymin, where he said that you can divorce the woman while she's pregnant and experiencing menses. When you say you can divorce her, because obviously we know according to the Quran and Sunnah that when a woman is pregnant you can't divorce her.
No. According to the Quran and the Sunnah, it doesn't say that you can't divorce her when she's pregnant. You could divorce her when she's pregnant, and her iddah finishes when she is delivering her baby.
Okay, so
in this scenario when she is, according to Ibn Uthaymeen, that if she is menstruating, and when I said there's no menses during the pregnancy, but if, according to Ibn Uthaymeen, she's menstruating, that means she's discharging blood at the same time, at the same month, for a certain period, which is the same period that she's experienced all the time, during her pregnancy, then the person is allowed to divorce her. Now, when she divorces her, their period doesn't finish like normally the case when she's not pregnant, after 3 menses. Here, it does not finish when she's 3 menses. It finishes when her pregnancy finishes. I mean, if she delivers the baby, her iddah finishes. So the two things which is different is that you could divorce her. Number 2 is the iddah itself. It prolongs itself until she gives the baby, not for 3 menses. Do you understand that? No. Yes.
Is it a marketing by the pro-women lobby, or is there some proof in Islam for the fact that when they are in state of menstruation, women do have mood swings of different nature, which can, and they can be more, snappy.
When they're pregnant?
No, when they are in menstruation.
Snappy. Give me an example. How they're snappy?
Mood swings. They are generally more tempered, and marketing normally out there gives us the impression that we should be more forgiving and tolerant during those times.
Religiously, our brother is asking, let me just repeat his question for the sake of the sisters, that the sisters get snappy during her period time. Usually it's the case. And some brothers agrees with him, because they're raising their voices with the brother, so I'm not sure about that. But religiously, we don't have anything to back up this, to support this. You can't really, for example, religiously to say that if the woman, as well she's pregnant, you know that she's as well snappy at the same time that she asks for things, they don't exist. Can you just please bring me some sort of fruit that really doesn't exist in this country? I have to be getting it from another country. And they say that really, they're really yearning for it. They're really sort of crazy, craving for it. It's right. That's the word, craving for it. There is even scientifically, it's not been backed up. And even they say that if that fruit hasn't been brought to that woman, then the woman, she would deliver a baby with a scar that looks like that sort of fruit. Or that, for example, she wants fish, then she will have a fish mark or tattoo on her baby. What's this? That's what they think. Don't you have this belief in Pakistan? We do in Jordan. If the woman, she's not given what she's asking during her pregnancy time, then something's going to happen to the baby with a mark labeling the thing that she asked for. Yes, the Somali agree people. Yeah. Alhamdulillah, we have a country with us. No, we don't really have. But the thing is, during any time, that if the woman is moody, you have to be tolerant. Whether she is during her menses or she's not menstruating. You have to be tolerant because they are being created from what? A crooked bone. That is the top bone of the shoulder of Adam alayhi salam. She was created from Adam, Hawa. So if you want to, the shoulder, top shoulder, yeah. No, from the shoulder here. And it's crooked bone, and that is bone that you can't, if you straighten it, you're going to break it. And if you go along with it, you're going to be crooked like her. So you have to be really what? Give and take. Give and take. Give and take. So on and so forth. Now.
What is the situation when a woman comes on her menses during a normal period of time, and on one day she sees blood, the next day she doesn't see blood, the next day there's blood, what does she do on the day?
Can you just please repeat the question in the microphone? Okay. Everybody wants to give a question. Please give the question for the sister and the sisters. Now, go on.
What is the situation when a woman comes on her menses during her normal, period days, and on the one day she sees blood, and then the next day she doesn't see blood, and maybe the day after she sees some blood? I mean, what does she do on the day where she doesn't see blood?
Okay. This is a good question, and for you to answer. And I've given the answer while I've given the lecture, if somebody was listening. This woman, she's menstruating. Her menstruation starts, let's say, at the beginning of the month. One or two, first day or second day, her menses starts. So the menstruation started with her. The blood came out. But suddenly it stopped. The day after, there's no blood. But the third day, there's blood. The fourth day, there's no blood. I'm just going further. The fifth day, there's blood. Sixth day, there's no blood. Seventh day, there's blood. What she should do? Yalla, put your finger up if you know. Let's brother. Yes. Now. So she's saying she should look for the white secretion. What about on those days that there was no blood? Can she perform prayer? No. Because her customary period, which is, she starts from the beginning of the month, and let's say that she's 7 days menstruation. Within those 7 days, it doesn't matter the blood stops and goes back and stops and goes back, she is considered to be on her menses. Is that understood? But, if that stopping and flowing and stopping and flowing exceeded the 7th day, after that, let's say, for example, 7th day is supposed to be finished the period, but the 8th day there is a blood. Then she should look at the color. Excellent. I'm teaching you now. Color. If the color is fading, that means her period still, because she's still fading. But if the color still is red and the 9th day, then she should stop on the 7th day, like she usually stays, and then she gets washed and disregard any blood after that. Okay? Is that understood? No. Any questions from the sisters? Please just take the papers. Okay, can we just give the time for the sisters? Yeah, go on. Connect to the question.
So the condition that you stipulated earlier on about seeing the blood.
Microphone.
So, I mean, basically, how do we understand this condition which you mentioned earlier on regarding the physical scene of blood for the menses to actually...
Yeah. The physical scene of the blood is at the beginning. The physical scene of the blood is the beginning. So once she sees the beginning of the blood, she's in her menses. Okay? Now at the start of the menses, how long does it stay with her? 7 days? 5 days, let's say? 5 days. Now it doesn't really, it's regardless of how many times it stops within those 5 days. Is that understood? So we're talking about the beginning of the discharge. Now, question.
Sister's asking, if you are breastfeeding and in 5 months' time, blood comes first, it is light, then after to dark brown, but lasts for 1 day. Is that menstruation?
Now we'll get the brothers to answer this question. Repeat the question for the brothers to listen.
Okay.
Listen, please. She's breastfeeding.
If you are breastfeeding if you are breastfeeding and in 5 months' time blood comes first, it is light, then later.
Final times. What does that mean in final times? I mean, in final.
First. In 5 months' time.
5 months time. Sorry.
5 months' time.
Yeah.
Blood comes first. It is light, then later to dark brown, but lasts for 1 day. Is that menstruation?
Okay, in 5 months' time, I mean after she was breastfeeding for 5 months. Let's say just doesn't matter. 5 months, it's not really from the Quran. So when you hear a question, disregard the points which are not relevant to the question. It doesn't matter. Let's say she's breastfeeding for the first day and she started now menstruating. She's starting discharging blood. And the blood here is for what? 1 day. It was dark, brown, and lasted for 1 day. Is that menstruation? Put your finger up if you know. Come on, yes? Excellent. The brother is saying, if the sister has a customary period, let's say that she is menstruating at the beginning of the month. Go on. The question is not answered yet. Yeah. Let's say that the customary period lasts for 5 days. Okay. Yeah. And this one is only 1 day and is dark.
Then we can consider this in the hadith of the Atiyah, that when she says after that, then we consider anything as nothing. Then probably can consider that.
But Atiyah, but here the blood stopped for 1 day came.
Yeah, because she didn't say it was dark. She said it.
No, she says it says it comes first, it is light, then after it to dark brown, light, then after to dark brown. So it is not really dark from light to dark.
So which means it's not the features of the listener, the menses, the blood you give it for.
So it is not according to the characteristics which we have described, that is coming from dark to lighter. So it is the other way round. So what is this? It's going to be what? Menses? So let's just answer the question now again from a different point of view. Yes? Okay, Sheikh number 1 said it is not menstruation. Sheikh number 2, na'am. I'm not joking, brothers, when I say Sheikh. All of you, inshallah, Sheikhs. Yallah. So he says, if that blood, regardless of the characteristics, if it occurred on the first or on the day that coincide with the day of her customary period, let's say she's is menstruating on the beginning of the month. Suddenly, while she's breastfeeding, she saw blood on that day. The next day stopped. Okay, can you just solve then the problem if you say this menstruation? What about about finishing? Because she's having it for 5 days. Without seeing blood?
Yeah, without seeing blood, yeah.
How is she going to determine that she's...
Yeah, she would just wait the normal amount of days that she normally would wait when she had a period. Then after that she makes...
That's a good answer. He's saying here that she has to wait for the 5 days that she's normally menstruating. And then after that, she should pray. Regardless that the blood stopped at the beginning of the first day. Okay, another question, another answer? Yeah, do you have an answer? No, you have an answer for this? Yes, brother. Huh? Can we treat it as a prolonged period? Like the brother says, it's not menstruation, it's prolonged period. Okay. Well, this question is a very tricky question. Because you see, she said during her breastfeeding. She did not mention that she got this blood during her menstruation time. She did not mention that in the question. But you are exploring on that. Jazakumullahu khairan. They say that if the blood coincides with the day of her menstruation. So you're really exploring. Let's just answer it, first of all, which is the answer I think we have the consensus of the Shi'ah which are here. That if that blood came out not within the period of her customary period, like for example, she's menstruating from the first day of the month to the 7th day of the month. And this blood, she saw it on the 15th day of the month. Is that menses? consensus here, mashallah, agreement, ijma', that it is not menses. So disregard that blood, sister, and this is not menses. Alhamdulillah. Okay, but we have a difference of opinion between our here, mashallah, shiyukh, that's saying regarding this question is that it coincides with her menstruation period. That means it came on the beginning of the month where she is menstruating from the beginning until the 7th day. One of the brothers said, no, because the characteristics of the blood described in this question is not according to the characteristics of the blood which we know, that it starts with black, dark, and then becomes lighter. And that is not menstruation. This brother here says, no, Sheikh, no, I don't agree. Because in her menses time, she has to stop praying, she has to stop fasting, if she's fasting, until the 7th day, and then she have a ghusl. Now both opinions, by the way, are being supported by the scholars, the real scholars. Okay? Both opinions are supported by the real scholars. But, because this blood, even though that it came at the customary period of hers, at the same time that she is bleeding, her menstruation, she's menstruating. Because, first of all, number one, that we said normally it is the case that when she's breastfeeding, she doesn't menstruate. Normally is the case. Number two, supporting this as well, that is her color of the blood is not supported by the characteristic of the menstruation. Because of that we say, disregard that, sister, and inshallah you could pray, and you could as well fast if you wish. Now, another question.
So the question is advice from sisters. As women, we must say for the brothers that yes, it is not religious that a woman gets snappy when she is on her menses, but due to her hormones, she does get snappy, and majority of the time, no matter how hard we women try not to be snappy, it just cannot be helped. So brothers, please try to be patient with your women at this time. Women don't mean no harm.
You're in trouble, brothers. You are in trouble. No. It's not related, isn't it? Go on.
Sister's asking, how should I deal with my next door neighbors who are non-Muslims? Should they be given less priority than the Muslims neighbors who live across the road?
Well, the priorities to the Muslims as a neighbor are, of course, more than the priorities to the non-Muslim neighbor. But priorities here can be as well categorized according to the task which is at hand. The task at hand, for example, regarding your neighbors, the Muslim ones, is to keep the ties with the brothers of the Muslims, to keep the neighborhood. But regarding the non-Muslims, sometimes becomes obligatory more than the obligation or more than you being obliged to visit your Muslim neighbors. That is, if, for example, those people are people who want to listen to your da'wah. People want to know about the Quran and are asking you. And you've got this knowledge, you've got as well the books, you've got everything, and you're falling short. And this is really being sinned. Why? Because they are asking you to teach them about the da'wah and you're not doing it. So the priorities here can be categorized according to the task at hand. Wallahu ta'ala. Now, any questions regarding menstruation, please? Brother behind you, you didn't ask a question? Yes. Oh, related to the topic first? Yes.
Basically, I read in a book where I think it's Sheikh Suhaib, I'm not too sure. He said with regards to the prolonged period, some scholars say waiting 40 days, 60 days, and things like that. Is there any basis for this statement?
Prolonged period waiting for 40 days?
Yeah, that you wait for 40 days or 60 days. Sorry, this is to do with
Post-childbirth bleeding. Now, that's a different case. Okay. You can't wait for 40 days because you're going to be borrowing from the next month. No. The month is only 30 days. Now, yes. When we discuss, inshallah, post-childbirth bleeding and prolonged period, then you'll have a lot of questions in your mind to ask regarding this issue. And then, inshallah, I would like to bring here a book which is called, I don't know if you've got it in English here, translated, The 52 Questions of the Hayd. If you've got that book by Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, get that book, it's very good. I will bring the book, inshallah, in Arabic, if I can, and I start asking you those 52 questions. It's being given to the Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, and so we're going to see you're going to answer the questions and the menstruation, inshallah. Right. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك جزاكم الله خيرا. Now don't forget, brothers, the money for the copies be given to the brother here who was reading beside me. جزاكم الله خير. Just leave that. نعم حبيبي.